What's grounded, fam? It's your boy Johnny Gio. Joining me today is Emma. What's grounded, Emma?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm testing out this new software here on my laptop. I don't want to deal with Zoom anymore, so we'll see. Hopefully nothing messes up right here.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, right? So always feels like the first time every time I do these, so I'm just like a little nervous and excited at the same time. So if you feel a little angsty, you trust me, you're not alone.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I know that you are into fitness and nutrition, right?
Yes.
There was some supplements that I've tried that completely backfired on me. I'm sure you're familiar with creatine, right? Yeah, so I'm pretty sure you know where I'm going with this. I was taking some creatine and I think I took a little bit too much. And at the time, I think I was smoking weed. And for any little thing, I just get super paranoid. And I think I took too much creatine and I was just freaking blown. I was with my kid's mom and I just fucking panicked. I was like, oh my God, like my heart's beating really quick. Like I feel like I'm going to die. I'm going to have a heart attack. So I told her, I was like, take me to the emergency room. We got to go now. Like, drop what you're doing. Her mom ended up having to watch my sons, right? She took me to the emergency room. And literally once I started speaking to the nurse, it went away. Like everything all of a sudden seemed better. And I was just so embarrassed. Like, you freaking blown ass. Like, I don't even know if it was the creatine or if I was just high, but I was just tripping out. And I don't even know if that's like a funny experience. But for me, looking back, I'm just like, dude, what a trip. And I'm wondering, do you have an similar to that with supplements?
Yeah, pre-workout.
Oh, okay.
I cannot do pre-workout. It sends me flying and I'm like full blown, like my heart's gonna explode. Yeah, pre-workout is a big no for me.
What pre-workout in particular? Because you got like all of these pre-workouts out here that have creatine in it as well. So it's like, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be able to do any of those myself. Which one in particular were you just like, I gotta stay away from this?
Oh my gosh, I can't even remember. It was like years ago, but yeah, it just sent me into like full-blown anxiety.
Panic attack or what?
Yeah.
Did you ever have to go to the hospital, to the emergency room because of it?
I did. Yeah.
You did?
I was at the gym and I'm like, my heart's going to explode right now. And then it's the same thing. As soon as I got there, I'm like, oh, I'm fine. This is definitely not as bad as I was thinking.
Okay, cool. I'm glad I'm not alone. By the way, I want to say congratulations on you almost got a year and a half sober now, right?
I almost in April. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
It's hard to believe, but I'm pretty happy with that. Very happy with that. Like, super grateful.
Huge milestone, definitely. So we're going to jump into these segments, right? I'm trying to do something new for these podcasts, switch it up a little bit. So this segment is basically to get to know more about you and your drug of choice, which is, alcohol. And it's titled Alcoholic and Druggy Cred. So you know how in the streets you got to have your street cred, how many burglaries you've done, how much time you've done. Of course, before you get on the podcast, we want to know what were your experiences like, and it'll be dope if you can just cover these three main things. Where did it stem from? What fueled it? And also, was there a rock bottom? I'm pretty sure there was probably a couple of them, but what was the main one that just got you to be like, damn, okay, this is it, I'm done with this?
Okay. I had my first drink when I was 14. And I just remember this huge feeling of relief. I was like, I feel like I can breathe.
Yeah.
I was always a pretty anxious kid. And honestly, when I look back on it, I remember feeling anxiety when I was 6, 7 years old.
Right.
But I didn't know what that was, didn't know how to deal with it. Was very socially anxious. Didn't like being around other people, isolated myself a lot, even from a young age. So when I discovered alcohol and I discovered that it gave me that relief, it was like, I hit the jackpot. This is the best thing. And it wasn't like, wasn't a huge problem at first, but it started growing. Like by the time I was 16, I was binge drinking, smoking weed every day. I started hanging out with people that I really shouldn't be hanging out with, stealing, just doing things that I really didn't want to be doing. Like I was a straight A student growing up. I had advanced placement classes, extracurriculars. I just was like at the top of my class pretty much. And as soon as high school came around, I just started throwing that all down the drain for alcohol and drugs. And yeah, like it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I didn't even realize that it was becoming such a negative pattern at the time. Like I just was like, this is normal. This is my life. And like by the time I was in my 20s, I was drinking like almost every day. And then at the last 2 years of my drinking career, I was drunk like every day.
Drinking career?
Drinking career, yeah. Retired now. But I didn't realize that that's how I was coping at the time. Like anytime a negative emotion would come up, grief was a big one that I couldn't deal with. There was also trauma throughout my early 20s, like sexual assault, and I couldn't deal with that either. So I suppressed it. I drank about it and honestly just tried to pretend that it wasn't there. And obviously the drinking just made it worse and made my anxiety a lot worse. And I fast forward to, the last 2 years, I just drank every single day. I started getting really bad withdrawal syndromes. I couldn't go like a few hours without drinking. I stopped eating. I stopped going to school. I was missing work. I had the worst panic attack of my life, like to the point where I thought I was dying and the EMS had to come to work because I like fully blacked out, had no idea what was going on. That was definitely like hangover related for sure, because I was super hungover and withdrawing that day, which like like it's just crazy for me to look back on all of that and just see like how in the addiction I was, because I couldn't see the chaos that I was living in. Like it was just so unmanageable. I was miserable all the time. I was super unhappy with myself. I was trying to fill this hole that I felt on the inside, and just I'll fill it with alcohol, I'll fill it with bad abusive relationships, I'll fill it with crappy friends, I'll try to fill it with money or whatever I'm doing. Like none of it worked. And I hit my rock bottom. Basically, I started realizing like internally, like this is probably not normal, because all I could think about was drinking. Where's the next liquor store? What are their hours? Which one did I already go to today? When can I get to the store? Like I had it like constantly. This was my brain over and over and over and over. Oh, I better buy this much. Oh, I ran out, gotta go back. That's not gonna be enough. Oh, they're gonna think about how much I'm drinking, so I'll drink before I go out. I'll drink after I go out. I'll sneak it. I'll hide it. Like my whole thinking, that's all I thought about 24/7. Like nothing else would occupy my brain. I started treating my family terribly, my friends, my relationship crumbled. I had no self-care, like none. And basically it just got to the point where I was like, I think I have a problem, so I'm going to try to take a break. And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, did you end up taking the break?
I lasted 7 days.
Oh, okay.
And I relapsed, and it was a really nasty relapse, like 4 days straight of like no sleep and just constant drinking. And I basically was like belligerent drunk, and I had this moment to myself where I looked in the mirror and I was like, holy shit, this is gonna kill me. Because
Yeah.
even when I wanted to stop, I physically could not. And that was like terrifying to me. I was like, oh my God, like I tried, but I just can't stop. Like almost like I was driving home from work and it was like autopilot. Like I found myself turning into the liquor store, buying the alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
going home, and then before I knew it, I was drinking. Yeah, made a phone call that night because I was super freaked out. I realized that it was gonna be my end because I just could not stop. And the way I was drinking, like I have no idea how I didn't do damage to my body. I really don't. Like it's a miracle.
I can really relate to a lot of what you're saying, especially that rock bottom. Sometimes people think that rock bottom feeling is, like, being homeless or, like this crazy ass accident. But similar to you, I took this real crazy look at myself in the mirror where I was like, yo, like, what are you doing with yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was super fucked up, but I looked deep into the mirror and I saw this broken person that, it was somebody that was definitely suppressing a lot of stuff similar to you. I can relate to that. And you talked about childhood trauma. So for sure, I can relate to that. And do you think that's what fueled, your alcohol use, like the suppressing of all these things that you didn't want to essentially feel?
Honestly, yeah, 100%. Because I just, I was running from everything and trying to find an answer in a bottle. And I didn't want to feel anything. I just didn't want to deal with any of my problems. That was my solution is I'll just drink about it and pretend it's not there. So yeah, those underlying like mental health problems and traumas for sure fueled it.
And then you also said that, you had anxiety. So as soon as you had, alcohol, it calmed you down. Now I'm willing to bet that, it might have helped for the moment, but towards the end, the anxiety probably got worse, huh?
A lot worse. Like crippling anxiety.
I think a lot of people can relate to what you're saying with that feeling of like, okay, everything's okay now for the moment. You know what I'm saying? But thank you for sharing that. Being reborn like the phoenix is kind of like, starting over again, starting a new life. And there's so many ways to go about this. So I'm curious and I'm interested to know like your ways of healing and your recovery process and also what your life is like now.
So, yeah, treatment is part of my story. So, I was in a 2-month treatment facility where under I went under a lot of therapy, sorry,
No
intensive
worries.
therapy just for hours every day, and that was like extremely useful for me because it dug up all the stuff that I had been suppressing for a very long
Right.
time, and I actually had to face it. So facing all of those problems, pretty much 10 years of problems, because that's how long I was drinking, and going through the emotion and processing them out was like super freeing because I was able to like leave them behind. Now that I actually faced it and left it behind, I was like, I can move on from this now. Like it was amazing. And then after treatment, like I'm in 12-step. So I attend 12-step meetings. I work the steps. I have a sponsor. I now have a sponsee, which I'm super excited about because
Nice. Nice.
that's something I'm proud of. I really dug into the sober community online as well. That was super helpful because I was like under the facade of, oh my God, there's no one who's sober. It's just me. Like, that's not a
Yeah.
thing.
There's so many people out there, especially on Instagram.
Which is amazing. It's just because before I only associated with people that wanted to do what I was doing before. So I was like, oh, there's no way. There's this whole community out here and it's so supportive and loving. And that really helped me. I also really dug into fitness and wellness. I started going to the gym. I started taking care of my diet, working out a lot. I dug into books and personal development,
Yeah.
meditation, spiritual work, like Reiki and crystal healing as well. Yeah, I pretty much took like my whole first year of recovery. I was like, I'm going to dig really deep inwardly and heal what's going on in here. And
Hell yeah.
now in my second year, I'm like, now that this is a lot better, what can I do out here to help other people?
Exactly. And how is it that you're helping other people? I know you got some products online that you're promoting and stuff like that because they've worked for you, and you showed me the progress with your hair specifically. So what's up with that? What's
So I'm an independent consultant and district manager with Arbonne. So I promote and sell their products online, mainly through my Instagram. I also use pretty much all of their products. I've like completely transitioned over. They're all vegan and toxin free and gluten free and everything, which has made a huge difference for me in my health. Like, I'm not 100% sure if it was through like detoxing or my body readjusting in my first year, but I developed like really bad chronic acne. And I went through like many different things, doctors and everything, prescriptions, and like nothing was working. And Arbonne actually like saved me. So I was
that's
like, yeah,
dope.
I'll try this out. Like, I'll try anything at this point. And it just made me feel so good and confident that I was like, I want to share this with other people because I know I'm feeling amazing and I'd love to help other people feel that way too.
Yeah, and I like to be I like to testify because you actually helped me out with a greens powder because I'm not good with taking my greens, and I definitely can say that I benefited from it because what I felt was like basically like detoxifying in a sense. I would always be bloated. And fuck, what's the best way to say this? Because my meals are basically all carbs and protein. That's all I ate. Like I had no greens. So this kind of helped me digest the entire meal and like consume, like my body was like picking up all the how do you say that? All the micronutrients
Nutrients.
instead of just, getting rid of it. So shout out to you for that for sure.
Thank you. That's awesome. That makes me happy. I'm just like, I love them.
Yeah, I know once I shared that with you, you were all happy, all the emojis. I was like, yeah, that's what's up. So I definitely got to re-up on that. I'm gonna link the link in the description down below in case you guys want to cop any of her products because I really recommend them. Moving forward now, I want to talk about a specific subject that you really wanted to touch on during this podcast, and we're gonna title this segment "Take It Away" because this is going to be all you. This is going to be like the topic that you chose that you want to address for this podcast.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the stigmas that people have in society around alcoholism and people who struggle with alcohol in general. Just because I don't know, like I feel there is still this stigma, for lack of a better word, around it. Like people don't want to address that there's individuals like myself who struggle with drinking, and alcohol was my only DOC, and it almost destroyed my entire life. Just drinking is a big one that I always get. So, oh, it's just alcohol, or you're too young to have a problem with alcohol. You can't be an alcoholic. You don't really drink that much, but everyone drinks. Like comments like that, and I'm like, okay, like fair enough, but I'm still addicted to it. And it's still technically a drug, especially in my brain. Like it fueled my fire. It was my friggin' kryptonite. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I will drink 48 hours straight. Like once I have one, I'm not stopping until I'm KO'd. Like I wouldn't stop. I'd have like a drink in my hand and I'd be thinking about the next six. Like I was
Right.
just that far ahead. And I think a lot of people don't want to address that that's a problem for some people. Like with drugs, it's almost, I don't want to like So it's hard to say. It's almost like people have an easier time accepting that, yeah, that's an addiction problem. But with alcohol, people don't want to face that that's also it also can be an addiction problem just because it's so normalized and so many events are surrounding alcohol, and it's just considered part of society. Like, it's everywhere. It's most easily accessed. I could walk down the street and get to it at any time.
I agree with you, man. Okay, even drugs are like normalized now, to be honest. Like party drugs, they're almost like normalized now, even prescription drugs. But alcohol for me is the gateway drug. I look at it that way. That's just my opinion, and I say this because alcohol was like the first thing I ever did. It was the first feeling I ever felt of like not feeling normal or like getting like a high of some sort. But and I also think, what, and this is just my opinion, by the way, I just feel like alcohol is the toughest to get off of because it's fucking everywhere. It's in the TV, it's at the grocery store, your homie has it, everybody fucking drinks. And everywhere you go, if there's drinking, you're going to come across it. There's no way of avoiding it. There just isn't. It's not like, people are like casually just fucking shooting up dope or fucking busting lines everywhere. But people are doing that, drinking at the park. And for me, I know it was fucking difficult. I'm pretty sure it's for everybody, including yourself, because it's like you said, it's just so normalized. Society has put like this like glorification on alcohol, and I started drinking at the age of 12. So, and I'm Mexican. Believe it or not, I'm Mexican. I know I don't look Mexican, but yeah, I started drinking at the age of 12, and my first blackout was at the age of 12. I fucking drank some tequila shots, and I woke up super hungover, blacked the fuck out. But it didn't matter because that's how I bonded with my family. That's how I bonded with my homies. That's how I eventually ended up meeting women. And that's how, my life just revolved and started revolving around alcohol. Now it's so tough to shake it because it just doesn't, like, your body's not just depending on it. You're depending on it like emotionally because of all the friendships and how it makes you feel around everybody else. So I look at it as a drug. I definitely feel where you're coming from, and I think this topic does need to be addressed more often because I feel like it's something that's very difficult for people that are alcoholics to deal with. In reality, like we said, it's not like any other drug. Like, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think alcohol is worse than weed. What's your take on that? And that's just our opinion.
I highly agree. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Because, like, the times I would smoke weed would not lead me to, oh, I'm going to punch someone in the face. Like,
right. Oh, so you were a fighter, huh? You're a fighter.
I was not very nice. But no, it's just, yeah, I would agree with you for sure.
I'm glad we talked about that because I think that's something that should be addressed. And even because I was a blank, and I don't want to make this all about me, but I think this is important to talk about because even blackout binge drinkers, like not even just like everyday drinkers, like blackout binge drinkers, like if you're blacking out almost every single time, like it's something to do with your brain. I'm not trying to get all scientific and shit because I probably won't even know how to pronounce those words, but I know for a fact that alcohol is just not meant for everybody. And even though you're just a blackout drinker or you just drink on the weekends and you have problems with it, it's okay to come out and ask for help and just admit to it because your life is still unmanageable if you can't control yourself for that weekend. So that's something I definitely want to shed light on because that's the type of drinker that I was. So I'm very happy to talk about that just because that shit needed to be addressed. Now, this is another fun segment that I wanted to add to this, and it is called Flip It on Them. So we're going to change seats right now. You are going to ask me just about anything in the world that you would like to ask me. Go ahead.
Okay. What does the word acceptance mean to you?
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh,
yeah, I
man.
went deep.
You went super deep. Okay, so acceptance to me means like, okay, so I realized that I don't have to fight something in order to defeat it. if that makes sense. So I'm always somebody that wants to fight everything, and that's how I win, right? So acceptance to me is just basically surrendering and knowing that maybe I didn't technically win, but I won. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm hoping that made sense, because when I accepted that I was molested as a child, and I stopped suppressing that shit, and I stopped fucking numbing myself with alcohol and coke or like toxic relationships, and I really dug deep and I accepted it, I felt at ease. I felt like I didn't have anything to worry about anymore. Like I just felt like this huge weight lifted off my shoulders and mind and spirit, because it wasn't even anybody else telling me all these things. Like the war was in here. The war was in here, you know, like that, and that's where the battles are won. And as soon as I accepted and I just surrendered, like, dude, like this is what fucking happened. So what? Like, doesn't mean you lost. I actually took it as a W, and now I use that shit as fuel to help people really go to work on themselves. And like, I'm not necessarily like dig deep like I did per se, but like plant those seeds that wasn't done for me early on, and in hopes that maybe somebody doesn't have to fucking almost lose their arm or overdose because of some bullshit that happened to them as a child. And now they have like this dude with fucking Jesus hair talking to them about like their childhood trauma. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that answers your question.
It does. That was amazing. Thank you.
Cool. All right, thanks. Before I let you go, I gotta ask you the signature question, which is, I believe there's 3 things in life that are guaranteed, and they are marked in our gravestone. And that is our birthday, the day we passed, and there's a dash right in the middle. What is that dash going to represent for Emma when she passes? What do you want people to remember you by?
Kindness.
Mm.
I really try to lead with an open heart and be kind and understand, you know, you don't know what someone else is going through. And, you know, I always used to be so defensive of, oh, this person's being mean to me today. And it's like, oh, well, maybe they're having a really bad day, or maybe someone they know just passed away, or maybe they're struggling with bills. Like, I really think that if there's anything we can be in this world, is to be kind to other people. Because, like, simple smile or a hug or helping someone out goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. I love that answer, and I agree with you. And I asked why. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like put you on the spot.
It's okay. It's all good.
I asked why because I knew, for one, I knew you were going to give a great answer, and two, because you were talking about how you were just so pissed off and you wanted to fight people when you were drunk, and I can relate to that. You know, I was this person that was pissed off all the time because of shit that was going on in here. Nobody knew that except for me, and I would lash out. I was like projecting that outwardly. So I guess in a sense that's also why I do what I do now and share these things, because I don't want to be that mean person that I used to be. You know, that's just not me. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
All right, so that's going to do it for this podcast. Emma, thank you for joining me. If ever you have some more free time, I'll be happy to have you here again.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This was awesome. Appreciate it.
I'll never be the same.